Hi Stampers, welcome back to my Stampin' Up studio in Columbus, Ohio. I'm Mary Nabe. Today is video number 4 in a 6-part series featuring the beautiful Fresh as a Daisy 12 by 12 designer series paper and a different easy one-sheet wonder each day. Today's 8 cards that we make from our one-sheet wonder, we'll be using the Oops-a-Daisy, So Sorry sentiment. This is the 4th sentiment in this wonderful stamp set. Of course, you can switch out that sentiment to have any one that you desire or that you need for the cards that you're sending out. So let's get started making today's 8 cards with a fabulous, easy one-sheet wonder once again. These are the 8 cards we'll be making with today's one-sheet wonder. Let me show you how to cut your designer series paper for these 8 cards. Once again, you are going to need to think about if your designer series paper that you're using is directional or not. If it is directional, think of the top, put the top of the directional paper at the top and then the bottom, but turn that so the top is now at the left side. You're going to turn it 90 degrees so the top is at the left side. The next thing I'm going to do is cut at the 6-inch mark. Now I have two pieces of 6-inch by 12-inch designer series paper, and I'm going to cut each of these at 6 inches. I'm going to cut each of these at the 3-inch increment. Make sure they're lined up well. So 3 inches and another 3 inches and another 3 inches. So now I have 8 pieces of designer series paper that measure 3 inches by 6 inch. The next thing I'm going to do is cut off a 1/2 inch from the bottom. So there are 2 ways you can think of this. You can put your left edge at 5.5, and then that means you'll cut off 1/2 inch on the opposite end. Go ahead and flip those over too. Or if you have the Stampin' Up trimmer, I often use the right area, the area to the right of the cutting groove to measure increments of 1.5 inches or less. So here I can measure 1/2 inch. And if I do that, I'm also measuring 5.5 on the other end. So whichever is easy for you. So again, I'm cutting these down to measure 3 inches by 5.5 inches. Now, before we go on, I want to tell you that for today's 8 cards, we're just using these pieces of the designer series paper. These 8 strips, 3 inches by 1/2 inch strips, these are not going to be wasted though. If you're crafting along with me, please hold on to these until tomorrow's video because we will be using them in a card tomorrow for video number 5. So I'm going to set those aside. Now I'm going to start by burnishing the score lines, burnishing the folds of my 8 card bases. My card bases are made from garden green cardstock, and each one measures 4 1/4 by 11 inches, and it's scored at 5.5 inches on the long side. So your finished card is 5.5 by 4 1/4 inches, so it's a standard A2 size card. And you get 2 card bases from 1 sheet of 8.5 by 11 cardstock. Next, I'll add my basic white pieces to the inside of each card base. I like to do that before I do the decorating of the front of each card base. This way, I don't forget to do it. You always want to have a nice light color or neutral, light neutral on the inside of your card. It makes it easier for you to do any stamping inside as well as writing messages, and it makes it easier for the recipients of your card to read your messages. Oops, and I have just 2 more to adhere. And then we'll move on to the next step of assembling our 8 cards. Again, this is the 4th of my 6-part series. No worries, though, if you missed the previous 3 videos, because you can find them at stampinpiece.com or on my YouTube channel, Stampin' Piece with Mary Nabe. If you go to my website blog, though, stampinpiece.com, you'll also get all of the cutting and scoring dimensions as well as a list of Stampin' Up! Products used in each of the videos. So you get a little more information at stampinpiece.com than on my YouTube video. I should say you get a little more information that's actually written out. You're getting the same information on my YouTube channel, but it's just not all written out like it is on each blog post. And if you're watching on YouTube, in the description of the video, there is a link that will take you directly to the coordinating blog post on my website. So these pieces of cardstock are 3 inches by 1/2 inch. No, I'm sorry. I said that totally wrong. These pieces of cardstock measure 3 1/4 inches by 5 1/2 inches. 3 1/4 by 5 1/2. And the color I'm using is Lemon Lolly. It's a brand new color to the Stampin' Up! Line. And next, I'm going to add to the card fronts my Designer Series paper. Again, with that one sheet wonder today, these measure 3 inches by 5.5. 3 inches by 5.5 inches. So again, this one sheet wonder is an easy way for you to make 8 cards quickly and easily, and using a limited number of supplies to do it. And this Fresh as a Daisy Designer Series paper certainly is quite versatile. You can use it for so many different occasions or reasons for sending cards. And I'm just centering the DSP between the left and right edges of that lemon lolly cardstock, or that lemon lolly layer. On the back of this DSP is that pretty azure afternoon color, which is also a brand new color to the Stampin' Up line. And next, I'm going to stamp my sentiments. You can use any shape of die or punch that you like. I have chosen to use this tailored tag die. So I went ahead and die cut 8 of them. Let's get that little, there we go. And now I can stamp all 8 at once. And again, in this series, I wanted to use all 4 of the different sentiments in the Cheerful Daisies stamp set. And this is the last of the 4, and it says, "Oops-a-daisy, so sorry." But you can feel free to add any sentiment that you like to meet your needs or your taste. Oops-a-daisy is something I remember my mom saying when I was young. Oops-a-daisy. So if you hear me say oops, that's where I get that from. Looks like I need to move some of the ink around on my ink pad. I'm getting some areas that are darker and lighter than others. That's a sign to me I just need to take the back of maybe the back of a plastic spoon, or I actually have an old bone folder that I use strictly for moving the ink around. And when I say moving the ink around, what I mean is this. If it looks like you've got some really dark edges, like I do here, you can just kind of push that ink and make it a little more even. That's also something that you want to do when you are using your re-inkers. When your pads are getting dry and you get a lot of the lightest shade of that color and you add some re-inker to it, be sure to move it around with a bone folder, the back of a plastic spoon, something like that to spread the ink evenly. And now I'm just going to flip all of these over because I'm going to add a couple of dimensionals to each to adhere them to my 8 card fronts. And I'm just going to lay each of these at an angle towards the bottom half of the card front. You can do them straight across, higher, lower, more of an angle if you like. And when adding things at an angle, you always want to make sure it's enough of an angle that shows that that was intentional. For example, if I'm adding it just like this, people aren't sure if it's really meant to be angled or if I just wanted it straight and missed. See the difference? But if I do it like this, it's clear to them that that angle is part of my design. And the finishing touch to these 8 cards is going to be to add one large pebbled path glossy dot. And this is, we used these same embellishments in yesterday's video number 3 in this series. They are the 2023 to 2025 in color dots. And the color I'm using right now is Pebbled Path, sort of a taupey gray or a dark taupe, I would say. And, whoops, it's one of the colors reflected in the background of this designer series paper. And there we go. 8 cards completed with an easy one-sheet wonder in very little time with just a limited number of supplies. So I hope you enjoyed today's demonstration. If you missed videos 1, 2, or 3 from this series, be sure to check them out at stampinpiece.com. And be sure to tune in tomorrow for video number 5 in this 6-part series.